Well, if you feel like your hair isn't what it used to be, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, you'll want to hear this. Our next guest is hair transplant surgeon, Dr. Brett Bolton. Doctor, welcome to Daily Flash. You've got some advice on how to protect our hair and keep those locks looking healthy throughout our life. Welcome to Daily Flash.
Thank you very much for having me.
So you have 5 simple tips on how we can protect our hair. Let's start with the first one. You say, be careful with wet hair. Please explain.
Okay, so I always love to use my 7-year-old daughter as my example because I manage her hair on a daily basis. And when we're washing her, she showers quite a bit because she's obviously gets dirty as a young child. But when her hair is wet, it's much more susceptible to getting tangled, and it's much harder to brush it, obviously, until when it dries up all knotted. So before she goes to bed, I try my best because she bathes every night before bed to make sure it's as dry as I can get it, which is not the easiest thing with the 7-year-old, but it makes it so much easier in the morning for me to brush her hair out when she doesn't go to bed with wet hair. Another tip with that as well is the pillowcase you're using, believe it or not, because if they do have some moisture in the hair at night when they're moving around, if it's more of a cotton or fabric that keeps it from smoothly moving, it causes more knots. Silk pillowcases or pillowcases that are easier on the hair are much easier on the hair in the morning. It's much easier to brush out. So simple little tips that make a big difference.
Okay, let's talk about your second tip here. Limit hot hairstyling. I've seen a lot of talk about a lot of these hot hairstyling tools.
Yeah, well, it's more about how the temperature is and how close you are to the hair. Definitely, we'll see that a lot when the patients are using too much heat. It can cause the hair to dry and break more easily. I always recommend medium, even cool a lot of times, because when they overdo it with the heat, it's not good for the follicles, and they become more sensitive to breakage for sure. So overheating is definitely not good.
Okay, and be careful about those hot hairstyling tools you're using. You also say the number 3 thing on your list, do not overwash your hair. Why?
So what I'm seeing is when it happens both with my daughter and my patients. When they shampoo daily, a lot of times the hair will become abrasive, believe it or not, because a lot of these shampoos are very stringent. So what I always recommend conditioning with some type of moisturizing conditioner. And even if you're going to use, I recommend shampooing, obviously, but you don't have to do that every single day. So at a minimum, I recommend shampooing twice weekly, and conditioning daily. So with my daughter, again, I always use her as my example. She's in the shower constantly. If she were to shampoo every single time, her hair becomes really tough to manage. It's
Yeah.
easier to break and things of that nature.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend the conditioning with the moisturizer in it for sure, and twice weekly at a minimum for the
For the
shampooing.
shampoo. Okay, number 4 on your list, do not overdo sun exposure, chlorine, or salt water.
So I don't want to say don't go in the ocean and don't go in the
Right.
sun, but be careful. Once you do leave the beach, you definitely want to make sure you're washing out the salt elements. When you get out of the pool and the chlorine, you
Yeah.
definitely want to rinse out because it's going to be much better for your hair in the long run. When they don't do that, it can cause more problems. It's not going to be consequential as far as long-term problems, but it'll be more short-term issues that they're going to have if they don't rinse.
Well, especially for women, if you color your hair, you have hair extensions, you have to be real
Yeah.
careful
Yes.
about, whether you're wearing a swim cap or whether you're getting in the water at all. The
100%.
Right. The fifth one on your list, you say this is interesting. Get a haircut or trim on a regular basis, once a month, once every six
So
weeks.
it depends on your hair, and different people will grow at different rates. The average is about a half inch a month. But with my daughter, I just always use her as my example. She gets these split ends, and if I don't keep those split ends cut, her hair becomes very difficult to manage. And so by just trimming that little dead hair on the bottom makes the hair fuller and easier to manage. And I strongly encourage being regular with it, whatever your hair length cycles are.
Does your hair stop growing at a certain age, or is that just a myth?
So It depends on the patient. There are definitely some patients that do slow down as they age, but there's others that don't. So it's definitely a mixed bag. The other one thing I do want to throw in there is I'm a strong believer in filtering your water, especially in
Oh.
certain areas, because in Florida, I have a whole house filtration system, and I can tell you that made such a difference as far as the rinsing of the chemicals out, like the shampoos and the conditioners and whatever else they're putting in their hair. I see a big difference when it's properly filtered. So I definitely always recommend that as well.
I've also heard the reason why your hair always looks so great from the salon is that they usually have a water softener or a special filter on, which
Yes,
is what
that's
makes a huge difference. Well, you can't get that same
yes.
hairdo out of your own shower.
I know it's so unfair.
Oh, Dr. Brett Bolton, thank you so much. We appreciate your
I,
time. For more information, please visit greathairtransplants.com or drbrettbolton.com. Thank you so much. We're going to post this interview on our website at dailyflashshow.com/FMI.